Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, my name is Manjila Putri Nabila and my student ID is 33220045. Today I will be presenting about syntax project 2. There are two topics. First is subject auxiliary inversion and the second is relative clause. Part 1, subject auxiliary inversion. What is subject auxiliary inversion? Subject auxiliary inversion is a grammatical phenomenon in English where the auxiliary verb or helping verbs appears before the subject of a sentence. This inversion is common in question and other constructions where emphasis or a specific sentence structure is desired. This means a sentence structure where the usual order of the subject and auxiliary verb is reversed. Subject auxiliary inversion occurs when the subject and auxiliary verb in a sentence switch places. This is commonly used in creation but also appears in other constructions. The person or thing doing the actions comes before the auxiliary verb, a helping verb like is, have, can, and etc. Next is key aspects of subject auxiliary inversion. Inversion. Inversion is the standard subject verb or subject auxiliary verb order is reversed, placing the auxiliary verb before the subject. And next is auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb, also called helping verbs, are used along with a main verb to express tense, mood, or voice. There are types of auxiliary. First is primary auxiliary verb and modal auxiliary verb. Primary auxiliary verb, they are be, such as am, is, are, was, were, used for continuous tenses and passive voice, and have, has, had, used for perfect tenses, and do, does, did, used mainly for questions, negations, and emphasis in simple tenses, and modal auxiliary verbs such as can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. These auxiliaries express modality, the speaker's attitude towards the actions such as ability, permission, necessity, or possibility. And next, subject auxiliary inversion rule. Before sentence, noun phrase plus auxiliary plus verb phrase, and after the auxiliary become the first auxiliary and then plus noun phrase plus verb phrase. So the auxiliary and noun phrase the switch the place. For example, she is singing. She is the noun phrase, is auxiliary, and singing is the verb phrase. And become the auxiliary is in the first and then noun phrase see and then verb phrase singing. And the second is you can drive. You is noun phrase, can is auxiliary, and drive is verb phrase. And after auxiliary, can become the first, can is auxiliary, you is noun phrase, and drive is verb phrase. If no auxiliary in the simple present or past, insert do, does, did before the subject. For example, they watch TV. They watch TV. There is no auxiliary, so we ate, did, does, or do for this. For example, we add they watch TV. Watch is past, and in past we use did, so did in the first sentence we add did they watch TV. Next is types of subject auxiliary inversion. First is interrogative inversion. There are yes, no question and WH question, information question. A. Yes or no question. In yes or no question, the auxiliary verb moves before the subject to form a query that can be answered with yes or no. For example, he is handsome. And then is he and handsome for the question, and the answer is we can answer yes or no question. Is he handsome? Yes, he is, for example. And the second is can drive, and to become auxiliary, can she drive? And then B, WH question. In WH question, who, what, where, when, why, how. Inversion happens only when the WH word is not the subject of the sentence. For example, he is reading a news, and then we add a WH question. I choose what. So, what is he reading? And then she was walking with Anne. To WH question, I add who. So, who was she walking with? Next is negative inversion. When a sentence begins with a negative or restrictive adverbs, for example, never, rarely, hardly, secretly, not only, no sooner, the subject and auxiliary verb is must invert for emphasis. This structure is common in formal and literary English. Common negative expression: never, rarely, hardly, not only, no sooner, only day, only then, not until, seldom, little, under no circumstances, at no time, in no way. And the structure is first negative expression plus auxiliary plus subject verb. For example, she really arrives on time, and then after subject auxiliary inversion, rarely does she arrive on time. We add the negative inversion is rarely. And then next, I didn't understand the problem until yesterday. And not until is the subject auxiliary inversion. Not until yesterday did I understand the problem. The negative expression is not until. And then the last example, she knew little about the surprise waiting for her. And then the little did she know about the surprise waiting for her. The negative expression is little did she know. Next is conditional inversion. In formal or hypothetical condition sentence, the word if can be omitted, and inversion is used instead. This occurs with were, had, and should. The structure: had, should, were plus subject plus verb. For example, in normal, if I were you, I would take the job. The inversion: were, the auxiliary become first, and then where are you? Where are you? I would take the job. And the other normal: if she had known, she would have told me. And the inversion: the had become the auxiliary become the first, and had she known, she would have told me. And the fourth is neither or nor inversion. When agreeing with a previous statement, so neither triggers inversion. For structure, so neither nor plus auxiliary plus subject. For example, I don't agree with the decision, nor does my team. And next, he didn't go, neither did I. Conclusion: subject auxiliary inversion plays an important role in creating clear and effective sentences. Subject auxiliary inversion occurs when the auxiliary verb helping verb comes before the subject of the sentence. This grammatical structure is not only to form question but also add variety, emphasis, and formality to writing and speaking. And next topic is relative clause. What is relative clause? Relative clause is a type of dependent clause that modifies a noun or noun phrase by providing additional information about it. This added information can help clarify which person or thing we are talking about or give more details about the subject. Relative clauses are usually introduced by relative pronouns such as who, whom, whose, which, or that. There are two types of relative clause. First is defining relative clause, and the second is non-defining relative clause. Defining relative clause. A defining relative clause gives essential information about the noun it modifies. This information is necessary to identify exactly which person or thing we are talking about. Without this clause, the meaning of the sentence would be incomplete or unclear. Common relative pronouns for defining relative clauses is who, whom, whose, which, and that. This is the table for defining relative pronoun. For subject, people, who, that. For object, people, whom, who, or that. For possessive, for people, whose. And then subject for things, which, that, and object for thing, which, that, and possessive for things, whose, which. For example, subject: the woman who called you is my teacher. For the people. And the stairs, which, or that. We can use which or that. The stairs which lead to the cellar are rather slippery. These for things. And object, for example, the man, and then we can use who or who. The man who I saw told me to come back today. This is for people, and for things is the car which or that I heard broke down. For possessive, the movie is about a spy whose husband betrays her. That's the whose is for people. And then a house whose windows were made of glass for things. Whose is for things. And next is non-defining relative clause. A non-defining relative clause adds additional information about the noun. A non-defining or non-essential clause gives us more information about the person or thing we are talking about. If a non-defining clause is removed from a sentence, we lose some details, but the overall meaning of the sentence remains the same. Non-defining relative clauses are always set off from the rest of the sentence with comma. And the key points: we add comma to non-defining relative clause to separate the clause. And this is the table For non-defining relative clause for subject, they are who for people, and then object there for subject there is who for people, and object there are who there are whom or who for people, and possessive there is whose for people, and the subject for subject there is which for things, and object there is which for things, and possessive there are whose or which for things. And this is the example. Subject: Andy, who had been driving all night, suggested stopping at the next city. Who is for people or for the subject? And then that block, which cost €8 million to build, has been empty for a decade. And this which for the things and the subject. The object for the object, Victor, whom everyone suspected, turned out to be innocent, and this the whom is for the people and the object. And next is these literature books, which you can get at any bookshop, will give you all the information you need, and which is for things and object. And for possessive, Lynn, whose children are at school all day, is trying to get a job. Whose is for people and possessive. And next, her house, whose windows are all broken, was a depressing sight. Whose is for things and possessive. And next is relative adverb. After we know about relative clause, now I will be presenting about relative adverbs. Relative adverbs are words that introduce relative clauses and help us give more information about place, time, or reasons. The three most common relative adverbs are where, when, and why. The three most common relative adverbs are where, is to refers to place. For example, this is the school where I studied English. And then when refers to time. For example, I remember the day when we went to the mountains. And then why refers to reason. For example, I don't understand the reason why they are upset. Conclusion: relative clauses helps us add extra information about a noun, making sentences more detailed and connected. They are introduced by a relative pronouns who, whom, whose, which, that are relative adverbs where, when, and why. Relative adverbs introduce clauses that give information about place, time, or reason. There are two types of relative clauses. First is defining essential information, no commas, and non-defining extra information with commas. Now we move to part 2. First question, the sentence is the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. There are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase contain determiner, the, and adjective phrase, adjective, quick and brown, and noun fox. The verb phrase contain verb, the jumps, and prepositional phrase. Preposition over and noun phrase contain determiner, the, and adjective phrase. Adjective is lazy and noun is dog. The deep structure, there are noun phrase, the quick brown fox, and the verb is jumps, and prepositional phrase is over the lazy dog. The preposition is over. And then the number 2, the girl who is wearing a red dress is dancing. That's the sentence. And there are noun phrase and verb phrase. Noun phrase contain determiner, noun, and relative clause. Determiner, the, noun, girl. Relative clause contain relative who, relative pronouns who, and then verb phrase. There are auxiliary and verb. Auxiliary is, and verb is wearing, and then noun phrase. There are determiner a, and adjective red, and noun dress. And then verb phrase. There are auxiliary is and verb dancing. Deep structure, the girl is dancing, and then she is wearing a red dress. These two sentences are combined using a relative pronoun who. And the noun phrase is the girl who is wearing a red dress, and verb phrase is dancing. Number 3. Stefano saw Yehezkiela with a telescope. The sentence. And then the noun phrase is Stefano, or Stefano is a noun. And then verb phrase contain verb saw, noun phrase noun Yehezkiela, and then prepositional phrase preposition with, and then noun phrase. They are determiner the and noun phrase telescope. And the structure, prepositional phrase with the telescope attaches to the verb phrase, describe how the action happened. Number 4. She believes that the earth is round. The sentence. And then there are noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase is she. Verb phrase is believe that the earth is round. Verb phrase contain verb, and verb is believes, and complementizer, complement that, complementizer complement that, and noun phrase contain determiner and noun, determiner the, noun earth, and then verb phrase. There are verb is and adjective round. And the deep structure, she is the subject of beliefs. Verb believes that the earth is round function as the complement of the verb believe. And then the last is the house where I grew up has been demolished. That's the sentence. And then the noun phrase, the house where I grew up. The verb phrase is has been demolished. Noun phrase contain determiner the, noun house, and complementizer, complement phrase, complement where, noun phrase. They are noun I and verb grew up. And verb phrase, they are auxiliary has been and verb demolished. Deep structure, I the agent or experiencer of the growing up, and the house, the location where the growing up occurred, has been demolished. Present perfect tense or passive voice, and relative clause where. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.